want to welcome a guest, Alex Machuca, a good friend and client of mine for the past few years now. Alex is just an absolute stud in the agency space, and I'm really excited to talk to him and kind of ask some questions that I haven't had the chance to ask in our personal relationship, and kind of learn a little bit more about your backstory and, what it's like actually scaling up your agency to almost 6 million a year in revenue, doing between 400 and 500K months, and doing that in less than 12 months. So yeah, Alex, why don't you go ahead and tell the people a little bit about what you're doing and the business you're running, and yeah.
So my name is Alex Machuca. I'm from New Jersey. I've been an agency owner for a little over 2 years. We do lead generation for mortgage brokers. In fact, I don't really like to classify ourselves as a lead generation company anymore, because really what we do is we schedule appointments for real conversations with mortgage brokers.
So you started this about 2 years ago, I think. So we met through a guy named John Danes back in the summer of, I think it was 2020. And when we met, you had one client. You're doing I think it was $3,500 a month. I think you had that one client, and I was really excited because you had some pretty good results for this guy. You're doing really well, but you just didn't necessarily have the systems to scale. And I don't even know if I've told you this before, but I think you were actually my first consulting client, because for the longest time I was a web designer helping people design high converting websites. And I transitioned on a project with John to helping him improve his sales process, scale up his outbound, because we built this website and it's like, how do we get more traffic? How do we get more clients out of it?
Right.
So he was like, I don't know exactly how the connection came about, but so yeah, we met all the way back then. So why don't we take a step back and why don't you tell me about what it was like before you started that agency? Maybe, where this all started, maybe, going back as far as high school, whatever, talking about,
Yeah. I've always been, I've always had the mindset to run my own business. When other agency owners see our success, they're like, man, that's so quick. You got to 100K a month in 8 months. We got to 500K a month in 11 months. But what they don't see is all the failures before that. Used to own an IT recruiting company before this, and another event production company before that. So there's been a lot of failures along the way to get to kind of where we are now. Now we have a huge office in Scottsdale, right in the heart of Old Town Scottsdale. We got about 35 to 40 employees. But I think a lot of it just comes from or the difference between myself and other agency owners. A lot of agency owners are very young. I'm 33. So before I got in the agency space, I had a lot of experience in the corporate world, working for other people. And I worked for some pretty smart guys. I worked for a guy named Tim Fargo. He was a Harvard grad. And every morning we would basically have class from like 8 to 9 before we went to work. And basically it was a crash course on business acumen and the right way to do things. So definitely learned a lot in that position. That was at a company called Top Line Strategies, and I was doing recruiting for them. And what happened was, as soon as I started working there, my manager quit, and it was a small team. So I actually got thrown into the fire and had to do a lot of the managerial roles right away. So it was a really, really strenuous, stressful job because I was thrown into the fire. But after that, I kind of realized, hey, I don't think it could be much worse than this or more stressful than this. So it kind of gave me the confidence to, go out and know confidently that I could achieve whatever objectives I set out for myself. After that, I went to work for a guy named Richard Brock. He had the #1 performing stock in 2004. They call him the Godfather of CRM. He invented the first CPA accounting software, and he owned about 80% of the market share. He's a very successful guy. So after I left Topline, I went to go work for him for a little bit. And he had a CRM that he was building out that was tailored for the sales rep. And what I realized is, his software basically was a widget on your computer that pops up like a teleprompter. So salespeople could actually read their scripts right on the computer, no problem. And what I realized was he was selling a car with no engine, because while he was selling, that widget, there was no scripts or anything in it. And my original job was, he's like, hey, Alex, I want you to build out my sales department. I don't have money for it. So what you need to do is you need to sell this product until we have enough money to hire somebody else, and then keep selling. You both sell until you have enough product. You sold enough to hire a third person. And to me, that was a very archaic way to do things. And it was going to take a long, long time. So rather than do that, what I did was I contacted sales experts, sales trainers, because I knew that we were essentially selling a car with no engine. We were selling a CRM with a teleprompter, but there was no scripts in it. And I knew sales trainers will walk into companies and they'll get paid to consult, but they'll go into these companies with sales playbooks that are on loose leaf paper. So I convinced them to essentially digitize their playbook and put it into our sales CRM, which was like a teleprompter, and resell it to the people that they were already selling to. And all of a sudden I built this we did a revenue share with them. And all of a sudden I built this sales team with the best salespeople in the world because they're a sales trainer. And I essentially eliminated my job. So after that, I got fired. They realized they didn't need me anymore, right? Because I had built this self-sustaining and growing team. So after that, that was where my back was kind of against the wall, didn't have any money. And I decided, if I am going to, accomplish what I want to accomplish, which is help my family, retire my parents, I'm not going to be able to do that in a 9-to-5 job. So I started my own recruiting company. And when we did the recruiting, we did okay in the first year. I think we did about 100K. But my partner's heart, I felt like he wasn't in it. He wasn't doing as much work as I was doing. So we parted ways, and I joined an event production company called TacoTopia. It was a cool experience. And that's actually a pretty crazy story. So essentially what happened was, if you're familiar with the Museum of Ice Cream, it's like an Instagram pop-up exhibit, and people go there to take pictures and post it on Instagram. So they made a version of that in Scottsdale, and it did really well. After that, they were looking for an investment to start a new project called TacoTopia. And they had contacted me and said, hey, if you could find somebody to give us $250,000, we'll give them 25% of our company, and we'll give you 10% finder's fee for finding them. So I found somebody to invest. And at the end, he eventually got cold feet. So I was pissed because I'm like, damn, I lost my chance at equity in this company. But what I realized is that, this was a great opportunity for any brand, because people are coming here by the thousands to come and take pictures with these exhibits. So, why do brands like Pepsi and Dos Equis and Michelob Ultra and all these beer brands go to festivals? Well, they make installations, and people will take pictures in front of it, and that's their free marketing, right? It's organic marketing. You're putting them in a viral explosion. So what I realized was, we had a distinct advantage over festivals, because festivals are 3 days long, while our pop-up event was 3 months long. So rather than calling investors, what I did was I actually called brands and said, hey, do you want to sponsor this? And what I ended up doing was I ended up raising over $600,000 to finance the operation. And I kept the 25% equity for myself. So that was pretty cool. And it took off. We were in LA in the Santa Monica Promenade. And it was going pretty well. And then we were having some problems with ads. The ads department was not doing well. So I wanted to kind of learn Facebook ads. And I was, taking courses. And every time I would go in with my insights of what I learned from the day before, they would be like, Alex, that's not your job. Leave it to the experts. Like, we got it, keep your nose out of our business. And that's just not who I am. So I just kept poking, and eventually I knew I wanted that whoever was doing Facebook ads, I was like, I want them out. Right. And unfortunately, it was somebody who was related to the boss of the company at the time, the owners. So we couldn't do that. So instead, what I did was I maneuvered a way around it. I was like, all right, these guys are not going to let go of the reins unless I find somebody who's like excellent in ads, who they know. So I cold called Gary Vee's company, and I got his partner, Ryan Harwood, on board. They were interested in an equity stake in our company. And the deal was they were going to do our ads for us. So I made it so, it didn't insult the people already in charge. It's like, hey, you're going to turn down Gary Vee? And we got that rolling. And then obviously the pandemic hit, and we were a brick and mortar. So we couldn't do business anymore. The business failed. And at that point, I think I had like $2,000 left in my bank account. And I went online, and I saw this course by this guy named Jeremy Haynes. And that was the beginning of my journey. I saw this guy, seemed really smart, seemed really cool. I was like, all right, I'm going to buy this course. I had like $2,000 left. I told my fiance, I was like, I'm going to buy this course. She's like, do it. So I bought it. And that course didn't necessarily change my life, but it was certainly the beginning of the change. A lot of people, and you'll see this a lot, probably better than anyone, Josh, a lot of people will buy courses, not be successful, and then say, oh, this is a scam because it didn't completely change your life. And no one course is going to change your life. It's a bunch of courses, that change your life. After that, I took Nurture and Close by Rob Bailey, and things completely took off for me. We hit 50K per month in 90 days. We hit 100K per month in 8 months, and then we hit $500,000 a month in 11 months. And I think, especially for these course people that are doing sales, or, I think the sale shouldn't be, hey, this course is going to change your life. The sale should be, the question isn't whether this is going to completely change your life. The question is, does this get you closer to your goal of what you're trying to accomplish, as opposed to, is this going to change your life? And if you have that mentality going in, is this going to get me closer to my goal, and those proper expectations are set, then a lot of people won't see courses as this negative thing that doesn't work, because it does work. I'm living proof of that after only 2 courses. So for some people, they need to take 8. Some people need to take 5. But very rarely will you see somebody take 1 course and their business will completely take off.
So you can definitely say that, like one thing that you did in your process that like really helped you scale up was you were just moving so quickly, right? And you had a lot of confidence, and that a lot of that might have came from your background sales experience.
Yeah,
right?
definitely. Oh, absolutely. I had already been selling high ticket, I cold called Cholula and got them to give me $250,000 in 3 phone calls. And then I did the same thing to Pepsi, closed them in 3 calls. Like it was a joke. So I think the advantage that I had obviously is selling high ticket. I was able to not only sell high ticket, but I was also able to teach it. All of our sales guys here, some of them had 0 sales experience, and now they're selling 40K a month packages, right? So there's a lot of different things that we can do to scale. And one of those things is, selling isn't enough. You're going to have to teach these guys how to sell.
So let's take a little bit of a step back, because probably a lot of people, aren't in the position to be hiring, 5 salespeople right off the bat. A lot of people are probably in the midst of starting their agency, or maybe they've hit 10K a month, maybe 30K a month, whatever. And what was that process of you in the beginning, right? So I know the one thing that like really like what it seemed like to me between my other clients that, did well, they got to 100K a month or more, but you scaled much past that, was, in my opinion, was you were charging a lot more. A lot of guys were charging 1,500. You were charging 3,500 or more. And 2, you were retaining your clients for a long period of time. So you were able to, you didn't have to close as many clients to keep that same amount of recurring revenue. So what was that process? So I know you hired all those sales reps in like, April of last year, or probably about a year ago, exactly. And, what was the process between like the July or whatever when we met, and that point when, you really started scaling up ads? I know you had the outbound and all that stuff. So why don't you go into that process?
Yeah. So, we scaled to about 100K with just me, Andres, and Joe. So it was like 3 of us. We did it doing Instagram DMs only, which is pretty crazy. I stress to people, there's so much to gain in organic that, if you're at 30K a month, don't run ads. Like, make sure you master organic first, because you don't have the capital to really scale that out. And you only want to use that when you've exhausted all your other resources. We didn't exhaust all of our other resources, to be quite honest, but we certainly, got a lot out of Instagram. Once we hit 100K a month, I was like, all right, we can keep doing exactly what we're doing. We had like one sales rep, which was Andreas, and myself. I would get on sales. But really, when it took off was I opened up a new office and I had a training class of like 12 people. And for 2 days straight, I taught them the pitch, I taught them the sale, and we got on and we hired a media buyer, and we scaled it out, and we were, off to the races. People were closing deals in their first and second day.
Amazing. Yeah. So I actually do know, like, I think it's really important to do both. I think, you want to crack one sales channel before you move to the next. So you're always doing things right. But I've actually seen a lot of people have success going straight in with the ads. The key is making sure your offer is validated. So you went in with a really good offer. Like I think you had like, it was 45 appointments guaranteed or your money back or something along.
No, it was 90 appointments over the course of 90 days for 3,500 a month. And just to give everybody who's watching this advice on your price points, raise your price. Because we started at 90 appointments over 90 days for 3,500. And now we do 60 appointments over 90 days for 7,000. So, we lowered our price and lowered our we raised our price and lowered our deliverables, and conversion percentages stayed the same. And we've done it. We've raised our price 3 times and we've lowered our offer 3 times.
Yeah. And that's like the common trend I see, like among a lot of the people I work with, they start at one price. It's like they offer less appointments, but or whatever, but the process still becomes more clear, right? Like maybe the client success managers will become more dialed in and whatever, and the process becomes more seamless. But ultimately they realize, like, wait, like if we know that we're generating, and this is probably the number one thing, I think is important for people that have anxiety in sales or feel stressed about sales, is like understanding, like, you're doing the person a disservice if you're not selling them and that your service is more valuable than the money that they give you, right? Like if they're going to make, $7,000, $10,000 off of one sale, and 20% of your appointments convert to that sale, it's like, this is like, you could never get those returns in the stock market or real estate or anything like that. So it's like, this is a no-brainer offer. And I remember we had the conversation before, and I was like, how are you closing these high ticket deals? And you said, honestly, I just get to the end of the call and I break down the numbers. Like, it's just a no-brainer offer. It's like, we got.
Yeah. Anytime you can reverse engineer math, you can't argue with math, right? So anytime you can reverse engineer math, make the numbers make sense for them at the beginning of the call, that trumps everything else.
Yeah. So how has your life changed since, when you were working in the corporate jobs and you were figuring out the startup life, and you had the $2,000 in your bank account versus now? I've seen some of the fun things you've done with your parents and some interesting things you've bought. So why don't you talk a little bit about like what life's like now?
Dude, here's the thing. It's really not that different. I still stress about money. It's just on a different scale. Like if I have, 10K in my bank account, right? Back then, I'd be like, I'm rich. Now, if I fall down to 10K in my bank or like 30K in my bank, I'm like, I'm poor. Right. So it's just everything's the same. It's just on a different scale. It is nice to be able to do nice things. Like, I got engaged. Since then, I bought a house. It's a 5-bedroom house in North Scottsdale. I've got this office, which is incredible. It's over 3,000 square feet. We got a gym, a pool, downstairs, hot tub, steam room, all that cool stuff. But not much has changed. lifestyle wise, I have less friends for sure. I got rid of a lot of friends. I know, a lot of people say, and I used to, they're like, hey, change your friends if, they're not good for you. A lot of people know who their friends are that aren't good for them, but they're not willing to make that change. For me, I just got to a point where I was just willing to make that change, and I did. And I got the negative people out of my life, and I'm very particular about who I keep around me, friends who are supportive, and if I kept all of my old friends, I probably wouldn't have any money because I'd be out at the bars every night drinking, probably paying for their shit. And, I'm just happy I don't have to do that anymore. I live a different life in a sense that, I guess I've just matured a little bit more, I'm a homebody. I used to go out all the time, and now I'm at home. What's fun for me is working on the business and nothing else.
Yeah, seems like what a lot of people I talk to that are, successful in a financial sense, like it seems like, cuz you've got to like it's like the financial benefits come along with it, but they only come along with it once you care about like the other things, which are the business and creating the value in these things. So, how do you, balance the heat and like, it's not like you're like, you derive your joy from the business, but it's not like you're living in a box and you're not spending money, like, well, you've got now a box and a football stadium and, you've got a fancy car and a big house and whatever. So, it's not like you didn't buy those things. So how do you see the value? Is it just kind of like a nice to have thing? Like, is it just like what?
Yeah, it's a nice to have thing. You get, look, I can buy a Lambo tomorrow, and in 2 months I'll just be used to it. You know what I mean? Like I don't have a Lambo, by the way. I have a Tesla. A lot of people have Teslas. Uh, the cool thing was I was able to buy that stadium suite, to go see my favorite team play football every Saturday, but college football. But that's it. Like everything else is just it's the same, man. The stresses are the same. They're just on a different level. Like I still have money stresses. I'm always worrying about our net margins now. You know what I mean? So all that stuff's the same. Money's not going to make you happy. It's just not, you know, it certainly makes things easier. You have less problems. Like, so for example, I'm not worried about my parents. That used to really, really worry me. Do they have money? Are they okay? Right. I'm not worried about that anymore. If they need anything, I know they'll call me and I'll take care of it. They were just here last weekend, and they're going to Australia. Well, they're in Australia right now, but they're able to take these trips to visit like my niece and nephew and my sister. I'm still like, for example, like I'm not vacationing all the time. It depends on what business you want to run, right? So my brother, he's at about 100K, 150K a month. He has a lifestyle business, meaning he's content at 150K, right? And he just wants to go out and have fun, and he has a lot of fun. For me, I don't want a lifestyle business. I want like an organization. I want a corporation. So it's way more stressful. It's way more, there's a lot more that goes into it. I'm not, I'm not in it for the vacation. I'm in it for the exit. And, I think eventually these lifestyle companies are going to die out because they're not spending enough time working on their business. But probably not for a long time. So like, it's a sexy selling point. It's like, hey man, travel the world, do a nomadic lifestyle. And like, that's cool and all, but it has to end at some point. And for me, I just skipped all that stuff. I could have had my fun and chilled and, just done whatever I wanted. But now I'm responsible for 35 employees. Right. And some months are better than others. Some months will sell a lot. And then let's say if our client acquisition or our cost per lead is too high, well, I still got to pay these guys. Right. So when, first, I think the important thing is figuring out what you want. Do you want a lifestyle business, or do you want to go all the way? Do you want to go for it all? And that's what I chose to do. And I understood that it was going to be a lot of effort, a lot of hard work, a lot of stress. And, maybe stress is the wrong word. Obviously, there's light stress, but if you enjoy doing what you do, then it's not really work. And to me, it's not really work. I enjoy coming in the office every day. I enjoy, collaborating. I enjoy strategizing. And, that's what I'm doing on a daily basis. And it's just what I'm used to. So, the further along we go, hopefully we can make relationships with a lot of important people. I think we're probably going to be going for a Series A here soon. So it's exciting. Like I'm not going to go vacation right now, and if you want to run an organization, you probably won't be able to vacation for a while. I don't get me wrong. I go on vacations. Like, I took my family to Mexico, somewhere close by. But like, for example, my fiance is going to Lake Como for a wedding. I'm not going. It's too far. It's 2 weeks gone. You know what I mean? I can't do it. So, you have to make sacrifices if you want an organization. If you want a lifestyle business, that's great. You don't have to make sacrifices, but you're going to stay at 100K, maybe 200K a month. If you want to get to $1 million a month, you need an organization, and you need to be there running it.
What are the main things you've learned in this process? Like, how did you expect things to be versus how they actually are, in that process?
There's a saying for people getting into growing a business. It's however hard you think it's going to be 10 times harder. And however long you think it's going to be 10 times longer. And that's exactly what we're experiencing. Whenever I think something's going to happen, it always happens like 2 months later. I'm like 2 months off. We're going to get to, $1 million a month this month. It's like 2 months off, So that'd be the main lesson. It's going to be however long you think it's going to take longer. However hard you think it's going to be harder. And, there's two different philosophies. And I think one of those philosophies is I need to get my systems and processes absolutely perfect before I sell anything. And the other philosophy is sell, use the profits to improve the service delivery and the processes and the systems. I took approach number 2. It paid well. It paid off. And we scaled to $500,000 a month, but we also had to scale down because I didn't have the infrastructure in place to support that many clients. So it's a double-edged sword. I think when you're first starting out, worry about selling. Once you hit 100K, then you can start diving into the processes and making sure everything is working well. But keep in mind that whatever changes you make at 10K or whatever systems you have at 10K or 50K are not the same systems that you're going to need at 150K, 200K. So it's going to be constantly evolving. So there's no point in you spending a lot of that time working on systems and processes. You should be spending that time selling, then using that money to reinvest in your systems and processes to make your service delivery better.
Yeah. So I mostly agree with that. I do know like one of the guys I was working with, we were kind of in the same boat, and it's like we signed 50 clients in 1 month. And it was like, that's like an increase in like $100,000 a month in 1 month. So it's like massive growth. But like that amount of growth without the back end systems almost, killed the business. And it was like, I don't think it takes like a super long amount of time to, build a good onboarding process so that, you've set expectations correctly from the beginning. Cause I know that's a big thing, it's like you sell the world and it's like you create great results, but because you set expectations so high.
Expectations are everything, right?
That's like, my opinion, all like 90% of customer success is just setting and managing expectations. And, making sure that like the other main thing that I've seen like people run into, it's like, you got to hire really good people and watch out for red flags. Cause like, you get one little bad person in your organization and they can cause some serious havoc, whether 100%. Whether it's a customer success manager or a sales guy or whatever, like you got to make sure you're working with really good people. And I think a big thing for you, and correct me if I'm wrong, is the reason you're able to hire such great people is because of how big of a goal you're trying to solve, right? So because you're extremely ambitious, you're able to get the bigger players in behind that big goal, right? So you really gotta work hard and have big goals to um
You have to be able to sell your vision to other people and get them to buy in. That's something that I think is pretty easy for me. Um, you know, but it's a double-edged sword because, when we were hiring, I was able to get cheap labor, I was able to hire my friends. But the problem is you get to a point where you are the bottleneck, meaning if you're the smartest guy in the room, you're the ceiling, right? Once you get past a certain point, it's about hiring the right talent, acquiring playbooks, and hiring people smarter than you. So there's two ways to get good talent. You could either build it or you can buy it. And we're at the point where we can't build talent anymore because everything is so complex that we have to buy that talent.
Yeah, and this goes back to what you were saying before about like what gets you to 100K a month won't get you to the next level, because in the beginning it's like you kind of have to be the best in the business, and you kind of got to play all the hats in the beginning. A lot of guys I talk to, they just want to instantly outsource sales, and I'm like, you got to put in the reps. You got to do the sales first yourself.
Terrible idea to outsource sales, by the way. In my opinion, you should have sales in the office. If you don't have an office, you should get one just for your sales team. And the reason I say this is because think about it, especially if you're doing your calls over Zoom, how the hell are you supposed to coach everybody? You're going to watch a 30-minute demo from 8 of your sales reps every day. Like, that doesn't make any sense. When they're in the office, you can coach them in real time. When we brought our sales guys from remote to the office, our sales doubled. You should be having daily meetings. You should be doing call reviews where, let's say if they're in a slump, you can make them watch a demo where they won. That gets them right back on track. When you're outsourcing sales, it's never a good idea.
Yeah, no, you definitely don't want to outsource sales. I think what I meant by that was like hiring a sales rep. Like, they want to just go ahead right away and bring on a sales rep. But like, in the beginning, it's like you can't afford to hire the best talent, and nobody wants to work with you because you're a nobody at the beginning, right? So it's
the sales position is the easiest one to hire with little capital because it should be just a commission-based position. As long as you're getting them the enough demos to feed them. But salesperson should just be commission-based. They should get 10% of the first month, which is why you need to increase your prices so you can pay them more handsomely.
Yeah. Kind of just like you didn't hire your first sales rep until you were at like $80,000 a month. So is that right? Like, you did the outbound.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So when you went to go and ramp that guy up, it was much easier because you knew all the questions and objections you're getting on the call.
Sure.
It's not
absolutely.
even about like the actual like capital. Like, you can go hire a customer, you got 20 grand, you can hire $3,000, you can afford some employees. What I mean by that is like, you can't go and get the best talent from the best sales team, whatever. So you got to know how to train these people on your system, like the customer success managers, the salespeople. And if you haven't done it, it's going to be an aimless thing. So in the beginning, you kind of got to be the superstar of the business, scale up yourself. You got to, do the sales, get the taste of the outbound, maybe run the ads. But then once you've started to scale up, you're building the standard operating procedures to actually replicate yourself in the business. Then you hire like the first level of people, and that starts going well. And then now you've got that layer that'll help you scale up a decent amount. And then after that, then you can look and start hiring. Like where you're at now, you're like, we can't just build people up. We got to hire top talent. We got to take from, the best teams in the world, right?
Right. 100%. You get to a certain point where it's just about acquiring playbooks. And what I mean by that is you want somebody who has worked at a company that has accomplished more than you, and that are just has the playbook that they can take and bring into your business.
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier how, I think she might have just been a girlfriend at the time, maybe, yeah, I think just girlfriend, but she was really supportive of, you said you had $2,000. You're like, I'm going to spend this $2,000 on a course. I'm assuming that meant she was willing to support
Pay
you.
rent. Yeah.
She was willing to support you. So how important and how helpful was it for you to have that support system and have
Super helpful to
somebody?
have that support system. Without it, I probably wouldn't, I wouldn't have done it. Yeah, I'd probably get a 9 to 5. So having that support system, but she's my fiance now, but date rich, date a successful girl. It'll help you. But no, I in all honesty, if I didn't have her to cover that, probably wouldn't be where I am right now.
Yeah, so congratulations on proposing and all that. When's the wedding?
November 4th, 2023.
Awesome. Okay, so what advice do you have to people, maybe they're just considering starting their agency. Maybe they're not even considering starting an agency. Maybe they're like some university student or something. Maybe they're just trying to figure it out, or yeah, so somebody that's getting started, somebody that's trying to find their way, maybe they've already got an agency, they have some clients. What's your advice to them?
Depends on where they're at. For people that haven't got started yet and want to get started, buy these courses, man. Buy Nurture and Close by Rob Bailey. I'd say that's the best course I've ever taken. And then just implement. Like, don't worry about getting it right. Like, you don't even need to learn Facebook ads, dude. Sell to somebody and then share the profits with them for them to do the ads. It's very simple. You don't need to know how to market in order to be a marketer. The great part about Rob Bailey's course in Nurture and Close is there's a ton of other marketers there. When you get in these courses, you also get their networks, and the networks are huge because that's how we met, right? Like, you meet people. I met John Danes through a course, right? So you get to meet people, and a lot of people are willing to help you on your journey, and you could learn from other people's mistakes. So it really, really helps speed up the process. I highly recommend that course, and even courses that I don't know of, like, buy those courses and get the knowledge, because you spent $100K on college most likely, and I'm sure you don't have shit from it. So the value proposition is much better with a course.
Okay, yeah. So, get some courses, get some advice on where to go, maybe a better question is like, what could you have told yourself when you were starting out? Like somebody that's really ambitious, somebody that wants to do great things like you wanted to do, right? So what would you maybe tell your, either your 20-year-old self or like, this self of you when you were just starting your business?
My 20-year-old self, what I would tell my 20-year-old self is stop victimizing yourself. Stop being the victim. Victims don't do shit. Victims are cowards. Victims are people who just blame other people for their problems and don't actually do anything about them. That's what I would say to my 20-year-old self. What I would say to Alex beginning an agency is make that shit non-refundable. Make your contract non-refundable. Like, that is the biggest mistake I made. We had to pay like $368,000 back to our clients last year. Make your contracts non-refundable to avoid that at all costs.
Yeah, like you've still got like a guarantee where you'll pay them their money back if you don't hit the guarantee.
Not anymore.
Oh, you don't even have that anymore.
Nope.
So no guarantees.
It's 60 appointments over a projected 90 days. And we'll work for free until we hit that goal.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, because I know that's definitely a good offer. So you're still making the guarantee you'll work for them until they hit the money. But like I've seen some people where they have it like in the contract, like you're not allowed to charge back, or you'll have to.
Oh yeah, we have that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have that too. The other thing that we started doing is, because failed payments become a big issue, especially when you're scaling. Insufficient funds. So you need a robust system to collect that. In a lot of cases, they'll just forget that the bill was there, or whatever, right? So what you can do is, what I do is, now we just implemented where we collect two forms of payment. So we collect the debit and then we collect an ACH. This way, if there's a failed payment, we can just go to the ACH. Highly recommend doing that across the board. I know a guy who collects 3 different payments: debit, credit, ACH.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so this is kind of a bit of a fun question, but what does your like daily routine look like? Like, what time are you going
Dude,
to
I don't have a
sleep
daily
at?
routine.
Like,
I don't have a daily routine, man. You know me. I'm not exactly an organized guy. I wake up at 6:30 a.m. I get in the shower. I come to work. I go home, relax with my dog and my fiance, and that's it. I don't have a routine. I'm not a routine guy.
just get up, work, and get it done.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't have a daily routine. All that, I'm not into the daily routines, the meditation. Uh, it's never been a thing for me. I just do the work.
Are you still at the same place I was at
Yeah.
last year? Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, how's Theo? Is Theo still the
Dude,
rebel?
he went to boot camp. We sent him to boot camp for a month, and it was so funny, dude, because they called us and were like, "Hey, I think he needs to stay another week because he's not." Yeah, he's a crazy dog, but he's doing good.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Yeah, I don't know. I remember we went shopping this one time and he ate up my shoe and I
Dude,
remember I remember thinking I was like, "Oh, like I was like, oh, they were like kind of like already like beaten up, those like designer thing, whatever. They're already like pretty distressed. And I was like, all right, whatever. Like, who am I to complain? And then I realized like it was like 4 months later. I was like, man, like I feel like these shoes don't fit me anymore. I realized it was so stretched. He like stretched the heel or something, but he's the cutest dog ever. But he's a funny
he's a
guy.
menace. He's a
Yeah,
menace. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, yeah. So. Yeah, is there anything you want to leave this off on? I think I gotta leave in the next like 2 minutes here, so I don't miss my flight to Dubai. But yeah, like what do you want to leave off on here? Anything you want to, where can people reach you? I know you've just started doing the podcast with some
Yeah,
agency
we just started
owners
a
and things like
podcast. We're going to
this.
be launching that soon. I'd say where I'm putting out the most gems is Twitter. My handle is scaling fast. And a lot of people like, what we put out there on Twitter. So definitely give that a follow. And then my Instagram is alchapo1, AL Chapo1. But Twitter is really where it's at for me.
Okay, cool, man. Well, yeah, thank you so much for your time. I know you're a busy guy. We've been trying to do this interview for like 8 months, but it's been hard getting both of our schedules lined up.
Got it
So,
done.
yeah, thank you so much for your time. Hopefully everybody watching has gotten some value out of this. I know I have. So yeah, man.
Thanks for having me, bro.
All right. See ya.
We'll talk soon.